Welcome to this Excel tutorial where we'll explore the versatile Vlookup function, a powerful tool for searching and retrieving data in Excel. This function is a must-know for anyone looking to improve their data handling skills. Let's dive into the essentials of the Vlookup function, a powerful tool in Excel for searching through vertical lists. Understanding its basic usage and syntax is key to leveraging its full potential for efficient data retrieval. In this segment, we'll break down the function's components and explore how it works to simplify your data analysis tasks. Vlookup, which stands for vertical lookup, is a fundamental function in Excel used to search for a specific value within a column and return a corresponding value from another column in the same row. This is particularly useful for tasks such as fetching associated data based on a key identifier. The syntax of the Vlookup function is as follows. Vlookup, lookup value, table array, column index number, range lookup. Lookup value. This is the value you want to search for in the first column of your table. Table array. This is the range of cells that contains your data table. Vlookup will search within this range for the lookup value. Column index number. This is the column index number in the table from which the matching value will be returned. It's important to note that this number is relative to the leftmost column in your table array. Range lookup. This is an optional argument that specifies whether you want to find an exact match or an approximate match. The default value is true. For example, if you want to find an employee's salary based on their ID, you would use the Vlookup function with the employee ID as the lookup value, the table of employee data as the table array, the column index of the salaries as the column index number, and set the range lookup to false for an exact match. Understanding this syntax is crucial to mastering the Vlookup function. It allows you to perform efficient and accurate data retrieval, making your work with Excel more effective. Let's move forward with this foundational knowledge to explore Vlookup in action and see how it can be applied to solve real-world data problems. Imagine you have a table of employee information where the first column lists employee IDs, and you need to retrieve an employee's name based on their ID. Let's say you want to find out the department of an employee with Idaho 102. The employee ID you're searching for is 102, which will be your lookup value. Your table array includes all the columns of employee data, starting with the employee ID column. The department information is in the fourth column of your table. So, your column index number will be 4. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. Click on the cell where you want the department name to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula, Vlookup, 102, A1, D4, 4, false. This formula tells Excel to look for the value 102 in the first column of the range A1, D4, and if found, return the value from the fourth column, department. After pressing enter, the formula should return IT, which is the department of the employee with Idaho 102. The Vlookup function scans the first column of the specified range for the lookup value, 102. Once it finds the exact match, it returns the value from the specified column index number, 4 for department. Setting range lookup to false ensures that only the exact match is accepted, avoiding any approximate matches that could lead to incorrect results. If the result is a #N, a error, double-check that the lookup value exists in the first column of the table array and that there are no extra spaces or formatting issues. Ensure that the column index number correctly points to the column containing the data you want to retrieve. By following this example, you'll see a practical application of the Vlookup function for an exact match, demonstrating how to retrieve specific data based on a known identifier. Suppose you have a table of sales data where the first column lists sales amounts, and you need to assign a performance grade based on those amounts. The grading criteria are as follows. A. Sales above 90. B. Sales between 70 and 90. C. Sales below 70. You want to assign a grade to a new sales amount, let's say 88, based on the criteria above. The sales amount you're evaluating is 88, which will be your lookup value. Your table array includes the sales amount and grade columns, starting with the sales amount column. The grade information is in the second column of your table. So, your column index number will be 2. Since you need an approximate match, you'll set the range lookup argument to true. Click on the cell where you want the grade to appear, let's say it's cell F2. Enter the formula. Equals Vlookup 88, A1, B4, 2, true. This formula tells Excel to look for the value 88 in the first column of the range A1, B4, and if an exact match isn't found, it will return the closest match according to the specified criteria. After pressing enter, the formula should return B, which is the grade corresponding to the sales amount of 88 based on the grading criteria. The Vlookup function scans the first column of the specified range for the lookup value, 88. Since there's no exact match, it finds the largest value smaller than 88, which is 80, and returns the corresponding grade B. Setting range lookup to true allows the function to provide an approximate match. If the result is not as expected, ensure your data is sorted in ascending order, as required for approximate matches. Check that the column index number correctly points to the column containing the data you want to retrieve. By following this example, you'll see a practical application of the Vlookup function for an approximate match, demonstrating how to assign categories or grades based on a given value. Imagine you have a list of product sales where multiple products might have the same name but different IDs. You want to retrieve the sales amount for a specific product using its name. Suppose a customer wants to know the sales amount for widget, but you only have the product name without the ID. The product name you're searching for is widget, which will be your lookup value. Your table array includes all the columns of product data, starting with the product name column. The sales amount information is in the second column of your table array. So, your column index number will be 2. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. However, even if you set it to true, Vlookup will still return the first match it finds. Click on the cell where you want the sales amount to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula. Equals Vlookup widget B1 C5 2 false. This formula tells Excel to look for the value widget in the first column of the range B1 C5, and if found, return the value from the second column, sales amount. After pressing enter, the formula should return 150, which is the sales amount for the first instance of widget in the list. The Vlookup function scans the first column of the specified range for the lookup value widget. It finds the first exact match and returns the value from the specified column index number, 2 for sales amount. Even though there's another widget in the list, Vlookup only returns the first match. If the result is incorrect, double-check that the lookup value matches exactly with the data in the first column of the table array. Be aware that Vlookup does not handle duplicate lookup values well if you need a specific instance other than the first. Suppose you have a table of employee information where the first column lists employee IDs, and you want to retrieve an employee's full name and department based on their ID. Let's say you want to find the full name and department of the employee with ID 103. The employee ID you're searching for is 103, which will be your lookup value. Your table array includes all the columns of employee data, starting with the employee ID column. For the full name, which is a combination of first name and last name, you'll need to use the column function inside Vlookup. For the department, it's in the fourth column, so your column index number will be 4. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. Click on the cell where you want the full name to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula for the full name, combining first name and last name. Equals Vlookup 103, A1, D5, column B1, false, and Vlookup 103, A1, D5, column C1, false. This formula uses the column function to dynamically determine the column index numbers for first name and last name. Click on the cell where you want the department to appear, let's say it's cell I2. Enter the formula for the department. Equals Vlookup 103, A1, D4, 4, false. This formula retrieves the value from the fourth column, department, when the exact match for employee ID 103 is found. After pressing enter, the formulas should return Bob Johnson in cell H2 and marketing in cell I2. The Vlookup function finds the exact match for the lookup value, 103, in the first column. Once the match is found, it looks to the right within the same row to retrieve values from the specified column index numbers. The formula for the full name concatenates the values from the first name and last name columns. If the result is incorrect, ensure that the lookup value exists in the first column of the table array and that the column index numbers are correct. Remember that Vlookup only searches to the right within the row where the match is found, not to the left. By following this example, you'll see how Vlookup looks right behavior allows you to retrieve multiple pieces of information from a single lookup value. Suppose you manage an inventory list in Excel, and you need to search for items based on partial names due to incomplete information. Imagine you have a customer asking about products with Galaxy in the name, but you only remember it partially as Allah. And you can use Vlookup formula for partial matching. Since you only have a partial name, use the wildcard character asterisk to represent any characters that may precede or follow Allah. The lookup value will be asterisk and Allah and asterisk. Your table array includes all the columns of inventory data, starting with the item name column. The quantity information is in the third column of your table. So, your column index number will be 2. To allow for partial matches, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. You must set exact match mode using false or 0, 0, for the last argument in Vlookup when using wildcards. Click on the cell where you want the quantity to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula for partial matching. Equals Vlookup, asterisk, and Allah, and asterisk, A1, B5, 2, false. This formula tells Excel to find any item names containing Allah within the range A1, B5 and return the quantity from the third column. After pressing enter, the formula should return 8, which is the quantity of Samsung Galaxy Tab in the list. The Vlookup function uses the wildcard asterisk to perform a partial match search for Allah within the item name column. It returns the corresponding quantity from the same row where the partial match is found. Ensure that your lookup value includes the correct use of wildcard characters asterisk for partial matching. By following this example, you'll see a practical application of the Vlookup function for partial matching, demonstrating how to handle situations where you only have partial information about the lookup value. Suppose you have a list of customer names in a table, and you need to find a customer's contact information regardless of how their name is cased when you enter it into the Vlookup function. Let's say you want to find the contact information for Bob Brown, but you enter the lookup value in all caps. Demonstrating case-insensitive lookup. The customer name you're searching for is Bob Brown, but you'll enter it as Bob Brown in the lookup. Your table array includes all the columns of customer data, starting with the customer name column. The contact info is in the third column of your table array. So, your column index number will be 2. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. Click on the cell where you want the contact information to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula. Equals Vlookup, Bob Brown, B1, C5, 2, false. This formula tells Excel to look for the value, Bob Brown, in the first column of the range B1, C5 and return the contact information from the third column. After pressing enter, the formula should return 5552468, which is the contact information for Bob Brown. The Vlookup function performs a case-insensitive search for the lookup value, Bob Brown, in the customer name column. Even though the names in the table are mixed case, Vlookup finds the match because it ignores the case difference. If the result is incorrect, ensure that the lookup value matches the data in the first column of the table array, even if the case doesn't match. Remember that Vlookup is case-insensitive by default. If you need a case-sensitive lookup, consider using the index and match functions instead. By following this example, you'll see how the Vlookup Function's case-insensitive nature allows you to retrieve data based on a lookup value that doesn't exactly match the case of the data in your table. Suppose you have a sales dataset with various products categorized by type and region. You need to find the sales amount for a specific product type within a certain region using a combination of index and match functions. You want to find the sales amount for an electronics product in the USA region. You can try to use index and match for single value lookup. Your criteria are the electronics category and the USA region. You'll use the match function with an array constant to find the relative position of the first occurrence that meets both criteria. The index function will return the sales amount from the correct row once you've identified it with the match function. Click on the cell where you want the sales amount to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula, equals index, E2, E5, match, 1, C2, C5 equals, electronics, asterisk, D2 laughing face, 5 equals, USA, 0. This formula uses the match function to find the position of the first row that meets both criteria, category, electronics, and region, USA, and then uses index to retrieve the sales amount from column E. After pressing enter, the formula should return the sales amount for the first matching, electronics, product in the USA region, which is 150 in this example. The match function finds the relative position of the first row that meets both criteria. The index function uses this position to return the corresponding sales amount. Ensure that your criteria are correctly placed within the match function and that the array references are accurate. By following this example, you'll see how to use index and match functions together to perform a lookup based on multiple criteria, allowing for precise data retrieval. Imagine you have a customer database with names and contact details, and you're using Vlookup to find a customer's phone number based on their name. However, if the name is not found in the list, Vlookup will return a hashtag and an error. You want to find the contact number for Alice Johnson, but her name is not in the list. The customer name you're searching for is Alice Johnson, which will be your lookup value. Your table array includes all the columns of customer data, starting with the customer name column. The contact number information is in the third column of your table. So, your column index number will be 2. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. Click on the cell where you want the contact number to appear, let's say it's cell H2. Enter the formula, equals, Vlookup, Alice Johnson, B1, C4, 2, false. This formula tells Excel to look for the value, Alice Johnson, in the first column of the range B1, C4 and return the contact number from the third column. After pressing enter, the formula will return a hashtag and an error because Alice Johnson is not found in the customer name column. To handle the hashtag and an error and provide a more user-friendly message, you can use the if-error function. Equals if-error, Vlookup, Alice Johnson, B1, C4, 2, false, customer not found. This formula will return customer not found if the Vlookup function cannot find the lookup value. The if-error function checks the result of the Vlookup function. If Vlookup returns an error hashtag and a if-error displays the message customer not found instead. By following this example, you'll see how to handle the hashtag and a error in Vlookup, providing a more informative message to users when the lookup value is not found in the dataset. Suppose you have a sales report with different product prices for different regions, and you need to find the price of a product based on the region and the product name. You have a sales data table and 3 separate tables for each region's prices, USA prices, Europe prices and Asia prices. And you have a sales data table as follows. Now you can use Vlookup with an if statement for multiple lookup tables. The lookup value will be the product name from the sales data. Use an if statement to choose the correct table array based on the region. The price information is in the second column of each region's table. So, your column index number will be 2. Since you need an exact match, you'll set the range lookup argument to false. Click on the cell where you want the price to appear, Let's say it's cell D2 in the sales data table. Enter the formula. Equals Vlookup C2. If B2 equals USA, USA prices. If B2 equals Europe, Europe prices. Asia prices. 2. False. This formula uses an if statement to select the appropriate table array based on the region in cell B2. It then performs a Vlookup to find the product name and return the corresponding price. After pressing enter, the formula should return the correct price for the product in the sales data, based on the region. The if statement evaluates which region the product belongs to and selects the corresponding table array, USA prices, Europe prices, or Asia prices. The Vlookup function searches for the product name in the first column of the selected table array and returns the price from the second column. Ensure that the table arrays USA prices, Europe prices, Asia prices are named correctly and are in the correct ranges. Make sure that the product name in the sales data matches the product names in the lookup tables exactly, including spaces and capitalization. By following this example, you'll see how to utilize multiple lookup tables in Excel using a Vlookup formula with an if statement, allowing for region-specific data retrieval. Congratulations on mastering the Vlookup function and its various applications. You're now equipped to perform efficient and effective data lookups in Excel. Thanks for watching this tutorial on the Vlookup function in Excel. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe for more Excel tips and tricks.